You ready? Take deep breaths. I heard footsteps. That's creepy. How did you do that?
This has never happened before.
She locked us in.
We got to snap her out of it.
Sky? Hey, Mommy. What you doing?
Writer, producer, director of The Reading, starring Oscar Award winner Monique, airing now on BET Plus. Make sure y'all check it out. Welcome, Courtney Glaude. Hey, Courtney.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm really, really excited to talk to you. I checked out the film. It's amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, so let's get right to it, because when it comes to this show, what it is I like to inspire the people, you know, to go after their dreams, first to dream big and to go after it. So this show was created in the middle of the pandemic when it first started, when everybody was on lockdown, trying to figure out what their next move was going to be, or where their next meal is coming from. And oftentimes people tend to lose it and give up. So I love talking to people like yourself that doing amazing things in the industry. And I'm sure you were faced with so much adversity and you still pushed through and you're here today. So your film starts off with a few words and it says start from the beginning. So can we do that? Can we talk Houston and growing up in Houston and what that was like for you, Courtney?
So I grew up in all parts of Houston, mostly the north side area. I went to 9 schools. So like I went to 9 schools. I went to 3 elementaries, 3 middle schools, and 3 high schools. So that's why I end up knowing a lot of people, just because I moved schools so much, because we lived everywhere from the Fifth Ward area, which I lived in the most, to the Trinity Garden area where my grandmother was, where I was over there a lot, until like some of the other areas, Homestead, where Fofo, whatever area you can think of on the north side of Houston, I've lived in and possibly went to school over there. So we moved around a lot. So I was always the new guy in school, always and then what was so crazy, I never started the school. I never started the school year at the school. So I always came in after everybody knew each other already.
Oh Lord.
You know that? Like I always came in like right there. Like I would go to a school in 9th grade, cool. Then I got out of that school the 10th grade year, but in September, like right after everybody came in, and then went to another school. So it ended up being, that started being a trend. So I ended up going to 9 schools. So I ended up like knowing a lot of people, but being the outcast of that not on purpose, but just honestly, as I was just on an interview, I was telling them it kind of helped me mold my creativity, because I never wanted to be at home. You know, my mom was going through something, and then I never wanted to be at school, because you gonna pick on a new kid, like he ain't fit to be a part of nothing.
Yeah.
We've already set our grounds up, so I didn't want to be there either. So it just really helped build my creativity, just growing up here.
Yeah, and talk about that creativity and how that kind of spilled over into your career in filmmaking.
So I've as a kid, as I said, like I was always in my imagination, so I didn't realize like I was doing movies or building movies or creating movies in my head. I would just create a scene, and that's where I would play, or that's where I would write, or that's where I would be for a time period. And you know, where we from, they didn't teach us you could be like a screenwriter or anything like that. So when I went to school, I went to this school called HCC, and I flunked terribly, like all the subjects. Even it was the basics. I flunked all the subjects, but the only subject I did good in was creative writing. So the counselor at the school was like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna work with you. Well, let me read some of your writing." She read it, and then she was like, "Have you ever thought about screenwriting?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." She gave me this book and told me about this program called Movie Magic. And honestly, it went from that point to where I wrote my first script, but I didn't know or couldn't find a director. I didn't know anything about the industry. So I had to learn how to direct myself and kind of visually see what I want to see. Couldn't find a producer, because here in Houston, this wasn't a major film city, still isn't now, but we're growing. So I couldn't find anybody to put the money up or produce so I had to learn how to produce as well. Like I had to learn how to go and find the locations that I needed. Now, being that I'm from here and went to so many schools and know so many people, I know where to go find everything. here. I know Houston like the back of my hand. So I know where to go find. So that kind of made it easier to become a producer. And as you see through trial and error, honestly, just shooting stuff, failing, shooting some again, failing. And then you just continue to grow because I never failed twice, not the same type of a way. I'm just not. And then it just grew until God blessed me with the opportunity to get a contact on Monique. And that's probably too far in the story, but yeah, that's basically the start of what you have with the reading.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that because, like I said, humble beginnings is all about how you start off, and that's what really I feel like inspire the people to know like the humble beginnings, the trenches, who's in the trenches with you, and how it all came into fruition. So
Yeah,
let's talk.
I hope they don't think I'm out the trenches. This still, I'm in there with you. Hey, the grind and the situation getting something on TV don't change the grind or the situation in that manner. It's not that fairy tale that we thought it was going to be. The grind is still the same. Them doors still close the
Yeah.
same way they did at first, right? They're just bigger doors. Like now, you trying to get with Pookie Entertainment around the corner, they gonna close they door. But now you talking Universal big door, those doors close the same way Pookie and them door close.
Talk about it. And I'm glad you said that too, because I know you know this by being in the game, but like Spike Lee talked about at one point him not being able to afford to finish shooting Malcolm X.
Right.
And having to ask for money from Bill Cosby to
Right.
Michael Jordan to Magic Johnson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people think, and I think John Singleton said the same thing about creating Hustle and Flow with Craig Brewer. It was like, when I interviewed Craig Brewer, he was like, he was so pissed. Like, I'm John Singleton. I've done Fast and Furious. I've done so many films, but the studios still don't want to bank on my vision.
Right.
So
And I've learned from
it out and make it happen.
And I've learned from Spike, John, and a few more other people to where now I love my style of filmmaking because I am an indie filmmaker.
Yeah.
To where I focus on what I can do, and then if they choose to do, that's the cherry on top. But I don't gotta wait on y'all to do nothing. I'm not. I don't know. Can we say words on here?
You can say words on here.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Like, I'm not waiting on y'all to do shit for me. So I'm not. That's not how it is now. Would it be great if we partnered on a situation? Absolutely. But my plan will be my plan. Me and God create the plan. Either you're gonna be a part of it or you're not. And that's generally what the situation is, and it will always be that way for me.
I love that. Now, you have done a few short films, award-winning short films. You got that under your belt, to now The Reading being your first feature film. When did you know it was time to do something?
When the story keeps going, when you keep writing that story and then you look and it's 70 pages, creatively, you never know when it's time. It just feels right there. So when people ask, well, how did you jump from short films to features? Well, my first film that I wrote was a feature film. I always wanted to jump there, but you can't afford that. So to not be stagnant, you do something on a smaller level that you can afford, which is like practice. You have to, there is always something in front of you that you can do, but you're trying to jump to that bigger thing. Well, what happened with me is, my first film, I wrote it was a feature. I ain't got the money to do it. So what I'm gonna do? Am I gonna sit around and keep waiting and running around asking people to do it? And the one thing, man, my cousin, which is my best friend, my cousin told me the best advice he could ever give me. I was trying to go get money for a short film from him, and he said, "Why would I give you money?" No, I was trying to go get money for my feature film from him. Feature film I wrote, and he said, "Why would I give you money to do something you've never done before?" And I was like, "Bro," and you gotta understand, this is my cousin, this is my best friend. He said, "Why would I give you money to do something you've never done before?" And I was like, that makes so much sense. I need to do something to be able to show this is what I've done. And now I plan on doing this. See, my first short, 5 minutes. I plan on doing this about 60 times over or 20 times over to make a feature film. But if you look and you like this one, I'm gonna duplicate this. That's what I need the money for. So it just taught me a lesson that sometimes, and then, you know, with all love for him, it also taught me like God is not gonna give everybody the vision. If He gives you the vision, that's your vision, and everybody might not get it. And it doesn't mean that they mean it in a spiteful way or not believing in you. Some people cannot process that huge dream that you're processing. So you got to be careful to who you're talking to. Now, it's not that you got to be careful who you're talking to. You got to be careful to who you respect with what you're dreaming. Because if you respect somebody that tell you some bullshit, if you respect somebody that tells you something negative, you will take in and respect that negative vibe that they gave you or that negative response, and then you will change your direction respecting that negative thing that came from that person that you respect. If that makes sense.
Makes all the sense in the world. Absolutely. Thanks for saying that as well. What inspired the reading?
So everybody thinks it's supposed to be this huge story, and it's not. Literally, what inspired the reading, I was over my friend Stan's house. He's also my editor. We were editing or doing something for another project that I had, and I was sitting up and I was watching TV, and I was watching this young kid named Tyler Henry interview Bobby Brown. And Tyler didn't know who Bobby Brown was because he's too young to know who Bobby Brown was, but he knew who Bobby Christina was. So as he's looking at Bobby and saying this stuff, he got this surprise look on his face. He was like, oh. And in that moment, I was like, oh man, I don't know what he about to say, but I want to recreate that moment in a film of a medium finding out something about someone that they didn't know and giving that reaction. Literally, that's where it came from. That very thought is how the reading expanded in itself.
Wow. Love that. To Bobby Brown, and shout out to Tyler Henry. I think they show that show on E. I love that show. I haven't seen that episode, so now that you broke it down, I have to go check it out.
He was younger though. I think he's older now, but he was younger when from the episode that I saw. He was a kid.
Yes. So wanting to pretty much recreate that moment in a sense.
That's the moment. A lot of my projects and my films are about certain moments. It's just about moments that I would like to recreate. And build a story on. It's not necessarily like I do have things that I want to, like this movie ended up being have a purpose behind it where I wanted to express something, and you know, when the audience sees the film, you'll see and you'll probably still have questions on what I'm trying to express, but one of the things that I wanted to express in this film was how bad we view the hood. Don't nobody want to go back to the hood.
Ooh.
That's not, and people will do anything to get out of it to whatever extent, right? So that's the perspective of one of the leads or both of the leads in this film. That's how bad the thought of the hood is to those particular, or poverty is to those people. That's how bad it is. So because a lot of people are like, man, no, that's too extreme for that reason. No, it's not. We see it on the news every day. We see it on the news every day with people doing this to their, you know what I'm saying? Like we see it on, and I'm trying my best not to give up.
Not to spoil it,
We see it on the news all the time. We just look over it. We just look over it. You know what I'm saying? So that this is a perspective of this is how bad people really want to get out or not go back.
After, you know, watching the film a few times, I think I'm on my third time watching the film. I'm like, I didn't know that.
You probably still missed something. I bet you missed something. I got one thing. I can't wait for us to like do a sequel, so that I can express this one thing that everybody keeps missing, that I am blatantly telling you. I'm blatantly telling you.
Let me know if I catch it by the end of this interview.
I will.
Now, this film stars Monique and Chastity Surreal. Both ladies, everybody, actually, the whole cast did an amazing job. We're going to talk about Monique in a minute, but talk to me about Chastity and how it is working with her, because I know it's not your first time, so talk to me about good old Chastity.
So with Chastity, I see a person that like people keep asking me, and I always tell them Chastity for me is my Denzel, and Denisha Hardiman is my Samuel Jackson, and not because we've achieved what they've achieved. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I see a talent in Chastity on being able to give me whatever I'm asking for. Whatever it is I'm asking for, she's able to dig and give me, and she trusts me. And like she went to dance lessons for this film. Like she went to dancing lessons for this film to create the movement that I needed for when she was at the table doing that reading. So
Yeah.
she had to go to popping lessons for that. So her giving me the trust and being able, she never questions where I want to go. And so I see a person that can give me anything that I want to do on screen. Like I could probably tell Chastity, I want you to be a man. She gonna be like, all right, I need a deeper. Like she's going to try to go and try to figure out what I'm trying to get with no pushback on what I want that character to be. She tries so hard to get me the character that I'm looking for.
She commits. I love that.
Commits totally.
Love that. And I'm all about new faces, new talent,
Sure.
new talent, real talent, and people that are really committing to the craft and willing to do the work. So
Sure.
I enjoy watching her on screen for sure. Now, let's talk award-winning, Oscar award-winning Monique as your first feature film. How did this come into fruition for you?
Again, I can't take the credit for it. I got to give God the credit for aligning these things up. But a super long story.
Super long? Ooh. I did hear that a barter system played a part in that. Can you explain?
So, I met this young lady that wanted to get her book turned into into a script. And what she needed was a pitching deck. And what I charged for a pitching deck, I knew it was going to be too expensive for her. But the amount of time that it takes into it, I also didn't have the time to do it for free. So I told her what she needed. This is what you need to do. You get all of these things. This is how you put together a pitching deck. Cool. About a month later, something kind of like leaned on my heart to check on her. I checked on her, and she was like, now she doesn't know anything about me. But I checked on it, and the script was written and everything. I didn't know anybody to get in touch with Monique, and I hadn't spoken to anybody about it. The only person I spoke to about it was Ricky Anderson, which was her lawyer. And at the time, Monique was going through that whole Netflix and like all of that stuff. So when I asked Ricky about it, Ricky was like, nope, not doing it. Don't do it. Nope, don't do it. Nah, not in this moment. This ain't what you need to be pursuing right now. She got some other stuff going on. But I don't take no for an answer anyway. So I'm like, all right, cool. So with this young lady, when I told her about it a month later, after I gave her what she needed, something was pulling at me to call her. So I called and checked on her, and she was like, man, Courtney, that's crazy that you called and checked on me, because me and my friend that's in town could work on the pitching deck. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. She said, well, can the friend talk to you about whatever we need? She was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. She said, well, hold on. She's on the phone with Monique's publicist. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, she's on the phone with Monique's publicist. I'm like, Monique? Like funny Monique? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, hold on. I said, tell her if she can get me a solid contact on Monique, I'll do your pitching deck for you. She was like, you serious? I'm like, yeah, I just need an email. I'm not saying that they got to reply. I just need an email. I need the email to be solid. She said, bet. Cool. I got it done. I think I sent her the pitching deck like a week and a half later. About an hour later, she sent me the email. Cool. So I reached out to the email. And when I reached out to the email, I got a really harsh no. It's like, no.
Like,
No. Paragraph work no's. No. No. And so I sent the email back. And it was a no respectfully, now that I know what I know now. I got it. So I sent the email back, like just being honest, like, hey, I'm new to this. I don't even know how to be reaching out to somebody of this caliber. But could you let me know what I should be doing? And it would that comment was embraced. I got a call. I mean, I was told to give her manager a call, gave her manager a call. Me and him chopped it up for like 30 minutes to an hour. He said, all right, it'll be this amount. I'm like, all right, cool. So I lied and I said I had the amount, but I needed to check with my investors, but I ain't had no investors because I was lying. But I ain't want him to get off the phone and then be gone on by this business. I wanted him to give me another date. I didn't expect him to say that the date was that Wednesday. It was Monday. He was like, call me back Wednesday. I was like, oh, all right, I'm gonna get it to so went on that Monday, and I promise you that whole day I was praying, and I was like, God, I really need to get this money. I know you did something because of how this came about.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So I need to get this money. God was like, you need to go edit the script. I was like, I'm gonna edit the script. I know I need to edit the script. I know, but I need this money. He was like, you need to go edit the script. So we went on back and forth for like an hour. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go edit the script. Now this is during the pandemic. So I went, edit the script, and that next morning, I edited the script. I finished it at like 2 a.m. That next morning at 9. Now, this is Tuesday morning. I was supposed to have a call with him Wednesday morning. But Tuesday morning, he called me and I woke up like I'm asleep. I woke up because I thought I got the dates wrong. Called me. When he called me, he was like, I was like, hey, did I miss something? And he was like, no, you good. He said, I talked to my wife about you last night. And she was taken back by the words that you exchanged with the words that we exchanged. She wants to speak with you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I didn't know. So Monique gets on the phone. So I didn't know at that time that Monique's husband was her manager or whatever. So she get on the phone and, hey, sweet baby. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Monique, you can't just be jumping on the phone with people like that. I'm a regular person. You can't, you slow down. Hold on. So she just said, you know, she was impressed by the conversation me and her husband had. And she was like, send the script. Let me read it. I was like, sent the snap. If I wasn't obedient the night before, I would have had to tell her to wait. I didn't. Cool. Sent the script. She called me back and was like, I'm in. I was like, well, we got to talk about the money. She's like, don't worry about that. She believed in the project so much. You know what I'm saying? She was in from the beginning of it.
So she says, send a script. I love the conversation you have with God.
Always. Still.
Editing the script. So when she got on the phone, I just want to make sure that she was able to finish that story because I think it's a great one to tell. When you sent the script and she read it, how soon after did she reach back out to you and say?
Like 2 hours. Yeah, she read it that day. She reached back out to me so this is what's crazy. She reached back out in like 2 hours. I was getting ready to go to Vegas with my mom. It was around me and my mom's birthday. I didn't know anything about Monique. So when she reached back out and said it, I said, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna be working on some stuff. I said, but this weekend I'm going to Vegas. And she was like, this weekend? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, we gonna be in Vegas this weekend.
Shut up.
She was doing her residency. She was like, we gonna be there. She said, look, we gonna be here. When y'all land, holla at me. Cool. But when we landed, she was so nurturing. I didn't get a chance to call her. She called me. Hey, she had a people call me. Hey, Monique is here. She has a time period between here, and she got y'all set up to come to her show tonight. Because I went with my mom. She was like, we got you and your mom set up. We went to Monique Hotel. We sat for like an hour, and when I tell you, this is how good Monique is. She didn't have the script in front of her. She was telling me the script back verbatim. Like she was giving me the script back verbatim. We really just talked about the vision, and she was on board. And from that point, now it was time for me to go get the funds to go get it done. But she was clear, don't cast for this part though. I was like, cool, I got you. And from that time period, it was just work. I sent her, and you guys will see it. I sent her a video. You will see it, but I sent her a video of this brokenness that I wanted to get done. I don't know if they'll ever let me talk about this though, but I did send her this. She embodied Emma. Totally. Like, I mean, totally. From day one, it was a character that collectively we built. You know, so it was exciting. It was exciting to work with her. And we filmed December 2020 during the pandemic. We filmed for 18 days. So we wrapped December 2020.
Now, the brokenness that you sent her, was it like a reference video of another movie actress?
It was an actress, and I don't know if I can say this because I don't want anybody to be offended, but there was a tone someone was going through, and I don't want to, someone was going through something in real life.
Mm.
There's an actress that's going through something in real life that I saw, and I wanted that version of that actress to be what Monique embodied in that character. And when I tell you, it was it. It was it. I know I can't. I don't know the rules yet, so I don't want to say it, and then somebody be like, "Oh, that's offensive." I don't know the rules yet, but
I,
it's, oh man, when I tell you, it's spot on.
First of all, I'm smiling ear to ear because I love Monique. You know, I've always been a fan of Monique, and to see her like back in the thick of these things and doing it and killing it, it really does bring joy to me. And you know, at one point in time, you know, there was a moment where I always like to reference like Janet Hubert when she talked to Will Smith and they kind of had their heart to heart when
Mhm.
she told Will, you know, being as a Black woman in Hollywood, being called difficult is like
Mhm.
the kiss of death. And I look at her and Monique as far as them having the same fight and dealing with a similar plight in Hollywood. Can you?
That I'm sorry. I think you could have asked the question. I was for go ahead.
It's okay. But I mean, just hearing you now express just the initial meeting of her is just was wonderful. So talk to me, how was it working with her on set?
Man, so I ain't never met nobody that Monique ever had beef with. So the question I always get is, what do you think about it? I don't have any thoughts about it because I don't judge people by, and also I didn't her. I don't judge people by what somebody else said. I don't care what your experience was with them. It's
Facts.
my experience with them, right?
Mhm.
With Monique, I never had a feeling a moment that was difficult while we were filming, the process before we were filming. She wanted to make sure that the production and the business and the vision that I had was what I got. And that was from beginning all the way to the end. Monique stayed on set when she didn't have to be on set. She if after the cut she would look at me and say, "Baby, you got it." Like she didn't, there was, I always tell people, like, if, I'm from Fifth Ward, man. My auntie and them mean. So if you can't, take some strong words, then hey, but she's everything that she every experience that I had with her has been a nurturing experience. I haven't had any moment with her that just felt like she was being difficult or anything of that nature. That just what hasn't been my experience with her. You know what I'm saying? Noting we were on set for 18 days together, you know what I'm saying? But we spoke like months before that. So I only experienced her as the nurturing auntie that wanted the best for the product that we were putting out. From
Yeah, got a chance to meet her yet, but you know, just off of what I see, you know, on social media and all that, I get that from her. And I think, you know, just being a woman in this industry, when you're opinionated, when you're have passion about what it is that you're doing, and you get scrutinized and you get, you know, told that you're difficult or just for knowing your worth and demanding respect is
what's
something
what's
that's
even more real about that situation is people it ain't the people that she generally had a problem with that's the problem. It's the people that are viewing it that are the problem, because us as a people judge people by somebody else's experience. Nobody had nothing to do with whatever she had going on, but you got a lot of people online that speaking their opinion about something that they're viewing. You know what I mean? Like that's always been the funny thing about it is, like, truthfully, you don't see nobody else talking about it anymore. Just the viewers are speaking about something that they had. And in perfect example, they gave somebody asked me a question. Well, what did you think about the Monique and Lee situation? Nothing. I wasn't there.
no one there.
I wasn't there. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, not nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? And all of the other situations, man, I can't wait till I work with Tyler, Oprah, Monique, Lee. You know what I'm saying? Like and especially we get them on one project.
Come on now.
Jesus Christ. What you know what I mean? So it's just like it's kind of like and truthfully in Monique's situation, do we do everybody how we did her and how we tried to do Will? Like, do everybody get that same type of energy? Nah, everybody don't get that same type of energy. And it ain't from the people, like I said, it ain't from the people she generally had, the situation with. It's from the audience perspective. We the reason why blogs pick it up. We feed into the negativity, not, you know what I'm saying? They putting up what sells. We
Yep.
don't treat nobody else like that.
Yep. And that's why I wanted to make sure that the narrative is shifted and changed to where I feel is deserving to be told in a more positive way. There's another actress that I do want to talk about in this film that when I saw her face pop up on the screen, I was like, she looks so familiar. Please don't tell me that is Charnel Brown, aka Kimberly Reese, from a different world.
Kimberly Reese. Kimberly Reese. People don't know Chanel is an animal too, man. Like so realistically, there was about 40 minutes of this film that people, I don't know if people will ever see. This is new to this process, but we got 40 minutes of unseen footage in this film.
We was gonna talk about that.
Like 40 minutes. So having her, and she was also a joy to work with because she also knows. One of the things I love doing is mixing old with new, because I think we come up with something special when you can mix somebody that's super hungry and eyes wide open with someone that still is hungry but understands how to navigate. And I think with Monique and Charnel, and then having this other crew that's totally new, that's how we came up with the recipe for this film. You know what I'm saying? So it was a joy to have her as well. I actually am working with her again on this series that I'm working on.
I need more of that chocolate, just beautiful face. Like, I need more of that. I've always been a fan of her as well. Like, seeing her on A Different World, I remember Debbie Allen telling the story on even how she got on A Different World, just because it was missing that type of representation. So to say, when it comes to that aesthetic.
She has an acting school here in Houston as well.
I was gonna say, what was the connection? Is she a Houstonian? Like, I never knew.
Now she knows what June 27th is. Now you know.
I told you, give me some time. Let me do my homework.
You just was asking for the reference. I was just giving it to you.
She was amazing, and watching her in that character, she was a scene stealer. Like,
you could have, man, let me tell you. So I'm trying to tell you, like, it where this movie could have went. People ask me, and I'm just totally honest with you. Like, we shot this movie in 18 days.
Yeah.
So what could have been done is endless.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But them having those, just getting, man, them on camera and run, Jesus.
Now, I did catch the ghost reference. Correct me if I'm wrong with her name.
Did you? Hey.
Pew pew. Yeah. I told you I may catch some things. I'm gonna let it be known during this interview.
I caught a couple things. That's most people wouldn't catch that. You got that? Yeah. So that she's representing what would have happened if Oda Mae Brown would have had a daughter.
Look at that. So she's Oda Mae Brown from the movie Ghost. If y'all don't know, make sure y'all check that classic out. Shout out to Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze, one of my favorite films of all time. So caught that reference. Good job on that, sir. Now, we did mention Lee Daniels' name earlier, but I love the story because I saw it in the other interview. You talked about it, but let my audience know how Lee Daniels got onto this project and how he got on board.
So to connect the dots, Monique's old road manager I met when she came down to film, and I just saw how he took care of her personally. Like, hey, make sure that her temperature is this and all of that. And I was like, hey man, I need somebody that could work with me in that nature. So we spoke after the film was over. And I was like, yo, I want to work with you. So after the film was completed and already edited and everything was done, I got a rough copy of the rough draft. Now the rough draft was about 2 hours and 10 minutes long. So my EPs hated it. Like, all like, no, this ain't it. We got to start from scratch. Like,
EPs as in
producers,
as in
people.
Okay, if you want to elaborate on exactly who.
Just few people.
Okay.
They didn't like the movie. I'm like, cool. So one of the statements that was said was, you need to get in a room with some, because I was fighting for it. And you need to get in a room with some people that's not your friends so that they could tell you the truth about this movie, because they lying to you. This movie's horrible. Cool. Well, if you know anything about, I personally don't, nobody changes what I view about what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not the type of person I am. So the one person that came to my mind that I knew would tell me the truth about this movie was Lee. Lee had no gain in the movie from me reaching out to him. Spoke to my manager at the time, which was Monique's old road manager. And it happened that his mentor and Lee's mentor was the same person. So he reached out to his mentor, and his mentor was like, okay, well, send me the movie. I think at this particular time, Lee and Monique were probably still at odds. So she was like, all right, well, I'll send it over. Lee didn't watch the movie, right? But again, that's why I always give the praise to God, because Lee set up a meeting with me without seeing the movie. Yeah, I'll meet with the young. What he doing? Yeah, I'll meet with him. Cool. The night before I met with Lee, he watched it. So when Lee came to meet me, there's a picture online where me and Lee are sitting at this cafe. That was my first time meeting him. The film was done. And Lee was like, did you write this by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. You wrote the whole thing by yourself? I'm like, yeah. He was like, it's incredible. So he was like, it just needs to be polished and move at a different pace. So immediately Lee was like, yeah, I'll help. At this point in time, Lee wasn't doing it because he wanted no EP credit. He was like, I love what you're doing, Rock. I think I went out to LA and met with Lee like 3 times on GP, in the middle of his schedule doing the Netflix thing, in the middle of his schedule doing other projects. He met with me on GP. Helped me edit it down. After it was completely edited and done, we were getting ready to pitch it. Lee called me and Lee was like, I think I'm gonna reach out to Monique. And I'm like, go ahead. Like, he wasn't calling for my permission. Like, that's not what he was calling for. He was just like, I think I want to reach out to it. Man, it's cool.
You inspired it.
I don't know. I feel like the Lord used me as a vessel. So he reached out to her, and as I always tell people, that relationship just needed a conversation. Like
most relationships do.
And truthfully, Lee never spoke to me about Monique before that moment, and Monique never spoke to me about Lee at all. So it was between them. So when he reached out, they rekindled as they should have, and moved on. And so when she rekindled with Lee was like, I've been watching you for like 5 months. And she like, what you mean? And he was like, I've been watching the Reading. What? Like, so they had that conversation. So then, what I'm saying, I talked to Sydney and Monique, and they wanted to bring Lee on as an EP.
Wow.
Lee agreed. So then when he came on as an EP, he's the one that brought it to BET and other networks that were interested at that particular time. But BET just really made it a home.
Look at that.
Fate. And I ain't had nothing to do with that. I've been walking blind, letting God do his thing. And again, as I keep telling people, every door that has opened for me, it didn't open because I was talented. It opened because I was obedient. And then I was just ready to be in those rooms. I was prepared to be there.
Ready. That's what it's about. Preparation, boy. You did that. I love that story. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Now, when it comes to cutting your baby short, because you said at first it was 2 hours and 10 minutes. Tell me how bad did it hurt for you to go from 2 hours plus to essentially a 90-minute film. How did it feel? Take me there, because I could imagine it's hard for me to probably edit this interview. I'm like, oh, he's dropped so many gems. It was so good. I probably got to cut this short though. But
here's the reality of it. You're always too close to your project. Again, the one thing that I love that Lee did not force me to change anything. He just made me understand why I should. And I can give you a perfect example. There is a part in the movie where I'm trying to communicate that they don't have any phone service in this house. Well, Lee showed me that I said that 10 times. So in my mind, I'm saying it to remind the audience. And he's like, you don't need to remind the audience. They know you only have to say it one time. Now, with me having to cut that out, cuts out some beautiful scenes. It cuts some beautiful things out that I just would have loved for y'all to see. It was attached to some stuff. And Lee was just like, what is the motivation behind this scene? It's to let the people know that the phone is out. But I shot it in this magnitude with this camera angle, that camera angle, and he'll be like, that camera angle is beautiful, but you don't need this scene anymore because you already said it. So it was things like that. Cutting they call it killing babies. That's what they call it when you're cutting up. That's what they call it when you're throwing away a piece of your baby. In film world, they call it, you're gonna have to kill some babies. Not literally, but
that's literally what my question was. How did it feel to cut your baby short?
It still sits with me weirdly. Like right now, I'm like, y'all want me to do a director's cut? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that you do have to understand that sometimes we are too close to it. Never shy away from your motivation. Never shy away from your morality and your vision. But be open to other opinions, and then I didn't take all of Lee's advice. Okay. I just took the advice that felt right for the story that we were doing. It just so happens that it was 40 minutes that he was right. Look. It didn't, we still got the story across now again. Like, yeah, you know, I feel like I could add at least another 15 minutes.
I'm happy you didn't get in your own way, because I know that.
Right. That's another thing. We get in our own way sometimes. And here's what helps me. This wasn't my vision. God gave me this story. This is his vision. He's not gonna let so once you get out of that pride, well, this ain't yours anyway. This ain't your gift anyway. Once you get away out the way of that, you get out your way.
Yeah.
You get out your way.
Yeah, I love that. I'm telling you, dropping some gems in here. That's what this interview is about. That's what this show is about. I love that. I do want to talk favorite scenes without telling the whole film. Okay. This is a psychological thriller for a lot of people that want to put emphasis on that, because a lot of people's like, it's like a scary movie, this and that. It's a little more, you know, different than that. So love the scene with walking the hallway with the knives and kind of singing the old tune of like Freddy Krueger 1, 2. Love that scene. Me personally. It's so bitty, but Monique's performance in this is just
surgical.
Surgical is a good one.
That's the word. That's the word I give it. It's very surgical.
Do you have a favorite scene? If so, what is it?
Yes, my favorite scene is when a character enters upstairs and is doing and she's hearing a monologue, and the monologue is about you know, how could you and the shift in characters go from sad to crazy.
Cray.
It does it and just like that, and if you notice that what's so beautiful about it is what's so beautiful about it is you can see the character changing like through the face, like piece by piece, right? So it's such a beautiful art that's giving in that moment that nothing, there's no directing that could pull that out of a person. That straight talent.
Yeah,
I don't care what was written on that paper. That's a gift.
Mm.
That's a gift.
It was so seamless too. I know
No,
exactly what you're talking about.
one shot. Shit. Oh yeah, one shot too. Like, come on, man. Yeah.
One shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Say less. Another character that I would love for you to kind of expound on is the homeless guy.
Yeah, him.
Played by a familiar face.
Let me tell you about this guy. Like, you know, when we talk about the je ne sais quoi of acting, when we speak about Oscar nominated
Worthy performance.
That guy
The
needs
chef's kiss.
perfection. That guy perfection. You know, no words. Matter of fact, I ain't write for him. He was totally monologuing. I'm lying. I wrote that, but it was a good performance. That's all I'm saying.
You were getting your Stan Lee, Spike Lee on. You made your cameo appearance.
Let me get that cameo in there. People always ask. So one of the things I want to do that, you know what I'm saying? I love, one of my favorite writer directors is M. Night Shyamalan. And so he makes an appearance in each one of his films. So it's one of those things where you know, I started thinking that I can make films when I watched Sixth Sense. So like my storytelling spawned from me watching that film. Like, man, like that film was it for me, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever saw Paperboy by Lee Daniels. Well, if you really Lee Daniels gave me the inspiration to not turn the camera away. Don't turn the camera away from horrible things. Let them see it. That's like those two things, along with like, man, just and then you can see I am a horror fan. That's Jason, Michael, Freddy. So it's like these from West to Spielberg. I think all of these have had such an inspiration on me. When I see films, I see people as I see people as I want to give people a certain experience. So sometimes with these characters, if I can't find the cast member to act, I'm just be it. I'm gonna just do it myself, because I know this person. This person came from me, so that plays a huge part in it as well.
All right, now I saw prior films, you know, you starred in them as well. So I know I started off saying writer, producer, director. I was gonna slide in actor, but I was like, I'm gonna hit him with it later.
I don't want nobody to think they cast me. I'm only doing my stuff right now. Unless Spike, if Spike call, I might, if Spike or Ryan or Spike call, I might slip on over there. Y'all should call Michael B and tell him, let me be in Creed 4. We gonna fight on the street.
Look at that.
We're gonna fight on the street. Like they did in Rocky 5. We're gonna fight on the street. Tell them we're gonna fight back in the hood.
Yeah, you look good in front of the camera. I think
I appreciate it.
So we're gonna be seeing more appearances like that in the future with all you keep the tradition going.
As long as it's fun though. I'm not, as long as it's fun, I love this, you know? Like I don't need as long as it's fun, I'm with it.
Okay. So we're about to end this interview with my segment that I call my confessional hour. I usually ask like 5 questions, usually warrants 1-word answers, usually.
Okay.
But in this case, I'm such a hip hop head, so you know we always ask that question: what is your top 5 dead or alive? In this case, we're talking films. So give me your top 5 favorite films of all time.
Favorite films, top 5.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun with it.
Sixth Sense. 7. Armageddon. E.T. and Elm Street 1.
Love that. Okay. Top 5 favorite directors of all time.
M. Night Shyamalan,
Mm-hmm.
Lee Daniels, man, Wes Craven,
Nice.
Steven Spielberg,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna go with Tyler Perry.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Now this could be actors, actresses, it doesn't matter, but give me your top 5 favorite actors of all time.
My God.
It's a top 5 for you. I just want to get I love this thing.
Okay, this is very, very off my head and probably not factual. Okay. I want to start off with, we talking we male and female. Can I get one or the other? I can't put them. I can't give me one or the other, male or female.
You want to split it up? Split it up. You can. You want to give me both?
Okay, I'm gonna give you both because that I can't do if it's equal like that. So male and female. Male, I'm gonna go with obviously Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, Lakeith Stanfield.
Wow, love that. So dope.
James McCoy, and Heath Ledger.
Oh, Heath. Gone too soon. Okay, give me the women. This is Women's History Month. We still in March, baby. Let's go.
Women. Sophie Okonedo.
Okay.
Angela Bassett. Monique. Meryl Streep. Viola Davis.
Yes, I was about to say, I bet Viola coming after that Meryl. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing that game. Now we just broke down all the actors.
Okay.
When it comes to your career and you doing future films, and I can't wait to see more coming from you. What is a dream collaboration? When it comes, who would you love to work with?
Keith Stanfield.
That's so like, I mean, you got Monique. Like, I'm just saying, I feel like everything is so feasible. I feel like it's all working in your favor. But like that right there, that would be a great.
If I could get Lakeith and James in one movie, yeah, should nobody apply for the Oscars that year. Don't apply that year. Whatever year that movie come out, save your movie for the next year. If I can get those two and get Sophie and you could pick any other one from that list. And Journey Smollett. And I might say her name wrong. If in one movie, don't apply. Don't apply. That movie gonna be so good, they gonna let it win the Oscars for 2 years in a row just cause it's gonna overlap. I'm gonna drop it at December 31st, 2023-24, and we gonna run both of those years back to back. Yeah, I can get those. It would be crazy.
I love that. Okay, in order of favorite, if possible, director, writer, producer, actor.
Okay.
In order. Which
writer?
One? Okay.
Producer, director, actor.
Oh, okay. Like you said, we're on this psychological thriller, and I know you have movies, when you talked about domestic violence and other stuff, where you're dealing with like race, the topics dealing with race. When it comes to the next film for you, what is a dream film, I guess, in a sense of something that you really want to tackle and focus on? What genre of film would that be for you?
So the plan that I have right now, I'm doing a dramatic thriller next.
Dramatic thriller.
But right after that, here's the thing. So for my career, I'm doing a dramatic thriller next because I want to showcase myself as a director in cinema, and I want to create a beautiful film cinematically. With the reading is so fun, right? Like the reading is so fun of a film, but with the time restraints that I had, I didn't get the opportunity to tell the movie with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I told the movie in front of the camera versus with it. That's a difference.
Break it
So
down.
so the difference is, you could have set that camera still and told that same story in front of that camera. That's what we basically had to do. When you're working with a list actress as Monique, there's a time frame that you have on her. Well, the budget that I have on her, I can only get her for this amount of time frame. So I have to shoot Monique's side completely out. Then come back and shoot the other side of the table when she's gone. That's me being able to tell a story in front of the camera. So, give you a perfect example. I can't get extremely close up. I don't have time to. I got to get this character and that character in the same frame because that's the only way I'm going to be able to get that dialogue within the time frame that we have. With this next project, I'm extending the time that I'm shooting so that I can get little. I can get small. I can pay attention to detail to where I can tell my story with the camera and not just in front of the camera. And these are two totally different things.
Got that. Okay, thanks for breaking that down.
Learned a little bit, educate that. See, and that ain't school. That's just me learning through trial and error. That's a book that I'm reading, right? I'm developing me as a filmmaker.
Yeah, I love that. And that takes me to my last question, which is a great transition when you talk about trial and error and learning. What was shooting this film, The Reading? What was the biggest lesson you've learned?
Time. You need time.
If you can, give it one word to describe this film, what would it be? One word.
Roller coaster.